I was like, oh my God, like it broke me. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm not going to major in CS anymore.
Salam, everyone, and welcome to Muslimahs in Motion Professional Pursuits. I'm Hawa, your host, and here we celebrate the achievements of Muslim women while exploring strategies to balance the life you dream of with the life you're living today. Join me as we dive deep into the inspiring story of Aminata Cisse, a data engineer and environmental justice advocate leveraging tech to address critical societal issues. From AI-driven tools to climate justice initiatives, Aminata's work bridges innovation and advocacy, empowering communities and creating real-world solutions. Well, salam alaikum, Aminata. How are you?
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was such a beautiful intro.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for that. Wow.
Beautiful intro for a beautiful sister, mashallah.
Thank you.
Yes, but how are you today?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Saturday morning.
Alhamdulillah, yes, a beautiful Saturday morning. I don't know about you guys up there in the north, but our snow days is over. So we had like one good snow day last week, and it's
really
all the snow is basically melted. So
oh wow,
I hope you guys are a little luckier.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like snow, but we had like a couple snow storms in the past 2 weeks.
Dang.
Not crazy storms, but like, yeah, it came down.
Oh, wow.
It's all gone now. Like, you're not going to find
really
much. Yeah. It's just been cold, like low 30s.
Man, that's not fun.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like, if it's going to snow or it's going to be cold, you might as well just snow. Have a little fun with it, you know?
No, when it doesn't snow, I get scared because global warming.
You know, and ties into environmental justice because that's definitely your cup of tea. But before we dive into that, I always have a couple questions I ask my guests. So say you're on a deserted island and you can only bring 3 things with you. What would you bring with you?
The Quran.
Alhamdulillah.
Can I bring my phone?
I mean, you could bring your phone, but the charger is another thing.
True. And then service on a desert. Okay. I'll bring my Quran. I'll bring water and a prayer mat. We're going to pray our way out.
Absolutely. See, mashallah, because I haven't heard that one yet, actually. I've heard blanket, but not prayer mat.
Blanket in a desert?
A desert island? Girl, I don't know. Maybe maybe it gets kind of cold at night. You get a little breeze.
True. Yeah, you find the water. That's right.
But good choices, alhamdulillah. Yeah. So first I'd like to open with asking, who is Aminata Cisse? And like, what started your journey? What drives your passion for blending, technology and bringing that societal impact with that?
Great question.
Thank you.
Who am I? So I always found an interest in advocacy. Like when I was in high school, I started an advocacy program for young girls that advocated for policies that protected them, essentially. Because I went to a school in the South Bronx, a majority students that looked like me. And it's not until you step out. So this program that I did was in Brooklyn. You step out and then you learn about all the different ways you're affected by certain things and policies and just the way the world is structured in general. Absolutely. So that gave me like a keen interest in just advocating for people that look like me. So I joined this program. I did it for like 2 years. It's called Girls for Gender Equity. That sparked my interest in policies. After that was 10th grade. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be majoring in like political science or something because I'm just like, I want to be a part of something impactful. So that was me in general. I would say that's who I was. Someone who just wanted to advocate. But then going into college as a freshman, I kind of shifted gears because I wanted to take that impact to a sector that's really, really important, the most important, and that's health. So I majored in public health because you can always bring advocacy in public health. Absolutely. And I learned about the ways that public health affects us in literally all aspects. So, and also like prior to picking a major, which was hard for me because I'm like, not hard, but like I was someone that I was always interested in a lot of things. So kind of limiting it to one major, I was like, how am I going to do this? But the advice I got was like, pick something that you can make an impact in. So I majored in public health for freshman year. Sophomore year, I started exploring computer science, and I saw like everything that I would have been able to do within public health, like it can be done at a broader scale within computer science, because the world is growing more technical, technology is advancing, and I'm just like, there's a lot that you can do here. There's a lot of opportunity and a lot of impact that can take place.
Absolutely.
So that's when I made the switch to computer science, like around sophomore year. I went to a public school, Brooklyn College. But I'm gonna say that again.
No
so
worries.
You can crop that. I was like, should I say the school? But people are gonna find me. So
yeah. Don't feel like. I mean, yeah, you can't say it.
I definitely don't mind sharing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Brooklyn College, and so in my sophomore year, I switched to computer science, and that was different. I didn't expect it to hit me the way it did. And I can share my journey on that.
For sure.
It was really like remarkable. So I switched sophomore year. I said that like 3 times, but the first class I took was Intro to Java. And let me preface by saying or explaining the type of student I was. I was a student that I wasn't studying, but I was passing and I was, doing good in my classes with not trying my absolute best.
Right.
So I got very accustomed to that because in high school, I was at the top of I was one of the students that were at the top of the classes. And, freshman year didn't kick my butt. Sophomore year didn't kick my butt. No, this was sophomore year, actually. Freshman year went by idly smooth. So then when I switched my major to CS, I was still that type of student, not really studying. Also, the Intro to Java class, just a little bit details on that. It was remote in the beginning and then switched to in person. When it was remote, I was doing okay,
Right.
I was floating by. But when it switched to in person, I got to the class and I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, there's only 4 girls, including myself, and 3 of them are friends. How am I going to do this? The rest of them are males. It's just boys in that class, and a lot of them are in their cliques, They already kind of established who they're going to be, interacting with. And I was also very reserved. I've always been reserved. So I went to the back of the classroom. I never turned around to ask a question. I was confused throughout a majority of the class, and I stayed confused because I never raised my hand to ask the professor a question. I didn't make myself known to the professor at all. I literally just went to class. That's it. I didn't take anything really. And there would be times where I would actually cry on my way home from Brooklyn to the Bronx, that hour and a half ride. I would be like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I went to school all the way in the South Bronx. A lot of these students had some type of exposure to computer science and, they probably know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I was just feeding myself discouraging words. But I also wasn't studying. I also wasn't going to tutoring. I was just sunk into my discouragement that I was not trying to really try my best at least. So fast forward, I also another reason why I didn't go to tutoring was because if they see how behind I am, they're going to think I'm stupid. So I was you know what? I'm not going to go. So midterm happened. I think I got a C. And then I'm okay, it's not registering to me that, Aminata, you don't know what's going on. So come final time, up until after finals and grades are released, I see that I have to retake the class. And I was like, oh my God, like it broke me. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with it. I'm not going to major in CS anymore. But then I prayed istikhara, and I know my istikhara got answered when I suddenly felt a sense of like certainty that no, you're not going to stop here. You're going to continue. Like you, and this time when you continue, you're going to try your absolute best and like lock in. So I re-registered for the spring semester, and I had a morning class for Java. And I tell you, that entire semester, I sat in the front. I made sure to get there on time. It was an early class. I was never late. And the professor knew me. Like she knew me. I was going to them office hours. I was attending tutoring as well. And that's where a lot of my support came from. The tutor was a beautiful Black woman. Her name is Amara. Like she was amazing. And she honestly, like she inspired me because she graduated with CS and now she was working, you know, at Brooklyn College at the Learning Center tutoring students. So once I like saw that and I saw that possibility, like I can probably do this, like, because at times you need someone in the field to inspire you and make you feel like, okay, I can see myself doing this. Absolutely. This is a known fact, right? So like seeing her, interacting with her, the relationship that we were able to build, the belief that she had in me, like that really was a driver. Like that semester, fast forward, ended up taking it, passing it, got an A. And it was from there where I was like, okay, I have to keep this up with not caring or not allowing myself to be discouraged about who else is in the classroom, to continue to ask questions and not, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Like, don't care about that. Just ask the question. You deserve a chance at a fair education. So I took advantage of that and I continued to go to tutoring, ended up taking a summer class to catch up. And then from there, I just went literally through the grace of Allah, through du'as and just effort on my end. I was tying my end of the camel. I don't know if you know that expression.
Yeah.
I just surged through, and then everything else was like, it wasn't hard because of that mentality and through the will of Allah. But and then before you know it, like May of 2024 came, graduation time, and alhamdulillah, like, alhamdulillah. Like, I'm so grateful. I just remember, like, and this is why, like, I strive to tell people, like, it's possible. Like, whenever I loved seeing in our prayer room or around campus, like, young girls that are pursuing, Black girls, young Black Muslim girls, like, pursuing CS, like, while they were in their sophomore year, because I wanted to tell them, like, you can do it. Because I remember, like, feeling like, I don't know if I can do this, you know? But alhamdulillah, I'm so grateful.
Alhamdulillah. I love that, actually. I love that story because a lot of times, you know, sometimes people's story starts out with like that whole, like, well, first, you know, we'll start with, you know, the fact that, mashallah, you have so many wonderful interests. You know, a lot of people, they're like, they think the journey has to be like, oh, I know I'm going to CS and this is what I'm doing. And from the jump, I was doing really good at it and I got all A's and blah, blah, blah. And I got my degree 4.0, whatever. But the truth is, it actually doesn't have to look that way, right? And I like your story because it just shows that you were able to first put your ego to the side and be like, you know what? And by the grace of and the will of Allah, right? You made dua, you made istikhara, you turned to Allah first. And the thing is, the truth is, right? Because my experience was kind of similar. Like, granted, I knew I wanted to do CS, but like you, I grew up, I was going through my classes, didn't have to really study, but I was still, you know, kicking butt. I was just like, oh yeah, like, you know, you know, like, and then everybody around you telling you, wow, you're so smart. Like, oh my gosh. And then like in your head, you're like, wow, cool. Like, I don't gotta study, like making A's and B's. Whoa. Then you go to college and that thing just hit you like a brick. And you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I can't just show up.
100%. Yeah.
And it's scary because it's like you said, like I was in there, like I wasn't really talking to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of, dudes who think they know everything and just sitting around. Mm-hmm. And then when you do ask questions, they look at you like crazy. So it's like, oh, I don't want to ask no questions.
Right.
And you're just
it just discourages you.
Exactly. And you're just suffering in silence.
Silently. Like, oh my God. Well, suffering.
And it's like, the tears are real. Like you just start thinking like, man, like this is not for me, I guess. I guess I'm just not this thing. And it's not good. But alhamdulillah, I'm so glad that you were able to like have that moment. That come to Allah moment, if you will.
Yeah.
And just be like, you know what? I am meant for greater things and I'm not going to let this thing stop me. Because any great person in this life, they're going to go through adversity. They're going to go through these kinds of experiences, but it's what you make of it, right? So that's why I really enjoyed listening because I was like, yeah, this is important. Because a lot of people, they go through something similar and it's like they think either you're the only one, but the truth is we're really not the only one. But it helps, like you said, to hear somebody else's perspective, especially hearing from somebody that looks like you, which is so important. Which is so amazing that like you were able to like go into, I feel like everything happens for a reason because like you're able to go to the tutoring, see someone that looked like you, right?
Right.
Doing the thing. It's like amazing, mashallah.
Wallahi, it was Allah's guidance. It just, everything aligned so well.
That's amazing.
Like, yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks for letting me share that.
Oh, of course. So as a Malian American and Bronx native, because you did say, well, tell me about that actually, So you are from the Bronx, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Born and raised.
Love that. So how have your roots influenced your approach to the work that you do now? So first, I'd like you to tell us what you do right now that you've graduated and, alhamdulillah, you got a degree and everything. So what are you into now?
Yeah. So right now I'm working for a company where I'm doing data engineering and full stack development.
MashaAllah.
So that involves, it's a small company relatively. So I'm doing some QA work. We're working on a state project that surrounds rate plans, which you probably never heard of. It's within the energy sector.
That's okay. Feel free to explain and define these things too, so our audience can also gain context.
For sure, because I also did not know what rate plans were. They're basically how prices and services are arranged from utilities to customers. Yeah, that's really the simplest way to put it. Like your utility bills, how those charges come to be. That's what rate plans are. That's how they charge you and stuff. So we're basically working on a project to simplify that for customers, for people to go on it and understand like, hey, what am I being charged? Yeah. So it's again, like being part of that, right? It ties back to my inner strive to be part of something that's impactful because it's really, really important. There's something called an energy burden where a lot of people around me within my neighborhood in the Bronx have high energy burdens. Energy burdens are the percentage that people pay for their energy. I don't know if you know Con Ed. It's probably different, utilities. But when your energy bills are so high that's where a majority of your income is going to. So a lot of people around me have high energy burdens, which is insane because life is already hard in the South Bronx, to tell you that, right? There's a lot of factors that play into, there's a lot of factors that play into where the socioeconomic statuses of people are right now. So when you have someone who is not even making a decent amount per year and a majority of their income goes to energy bills, it's just that's, and it's not okay, right? But that's also, that kind of plays a role into why I like what I'm doing. And it's just the way Allah made that I did not even know anything about this after I graduated, and landing in it is I'm doing two things at once. I love to code. I love to make and be part of tech initiatives, building products that are like, useful and can help people. And then to do that in a realm where there's some activism going on, it's like a mesh that just goes together very well. And it's so me.
Alhamdulillah. I really actually love hearing that, because it's one thing to do things that you love, but then it's another thing to on a daily basis, but then it's another thing to do something that you love and let it be have it be such an impact on people, such a positive impact too on people who really need it, right? I think that's really admirable, mashallah. And it just sticks to like it just makes me think of the istikhara you made, and you were like, that conviction you had, and like, okay, yeah, I'm meant to do this, and now look at what you're doing, alhamdulillah, like that's amazing to me.
Yeah, I didn't even tie it back to that. Oh wow,
like that's so crazy, because you're probably thinking like, oh, like, this is my story, it's whatever, but like this is so impactful, this is huge, because you went from almost not even doing the thing because you felt like, and this all happens to us sometimes, we're like, oh, who am I to do this? It's not for me. Maybe I should just figure something else out. Yeah. But now look at you now, alhamdulillah, mashallah. Like, I just think that's so amazing. I'm so glad that you're able to really do something that impacts so many people. So, yeah, your work with Unified Ground on, is it the climate and economic justice screening tool? Yes, it's super groundbreaking. So could you share the story behind this project and the impact that it's creating? Could you dive a little deeper into that?
Yeah. So actually I even found the current company I'm in through Unified Ground. So I found Unified Ground, a program that I did in CUNY. So yeah, I worked on the climate and economic justice screening tool, which I worked very closely with Jamil, the founder of Unified Ground, on just enhancing it, like adding features. But it came about, if I remember correctly, I'm just going to explain a little bit of Jamil's backstory. So it was someone who worked within the energy sector and noticed that when it comes to like government funds that are kind of for certain quote unquote marginalized, prioritized areas that, are for these areas, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of the times bigger companies would want to come and kind of claim these funds, right? Without having the community in mind. So the tool helps, it aligns with the Justice 40, which was an initiative on a national aspect that ensured that I believe 40% of those funds, like you have to like manage it equitably within the community. So you would have to work with nonprofits there, community organizations there. And the mapping tool makes it easier for, anyone who wants access to whatever funds or grants from like the state or like a national wide, to be able to scope out and find minority women businesses, community organizations to help better reach or fulfill that required 40% that was on a national level. Correct. Justice 40, it was a initiative by Biden, I believe. And we know who's president now. So I'm not sure if it's going to get like repealed, knocked out. Repealed but I think it was an amazing initiative because it kind of just put a lot of things in place. And number one, it put the community first. Absolutely. It made sure that like the community was at the forefront of being able to use funds that are going to benefit them and can have a say in that. And it puts them at the table. Absolutely. And I thought that was so important. So I had an amazing time learning about it and immersing myself with within the energy sector overall. Because again, I was so new to it, but then also like bringing forth features that was going to be very helpful, like within the application itself. So yeah, it was with Jamil that I landed my current role, and I'm just grateful because it was so nice. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
And I honestly love hearing you talk about like the environmental sector, because I don't hear a lot about it, and I don't hear enough people talking about it. So to see the intersection of like tech and, you know, environmental justice, I think it's super important.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And to address what you were saying earlier, like, yeah, a lot of these, you know, quote unquote initiatives or organizations, quote unquote, they're always acting like, oh yeah, we want to help these marginalized people, but the money never actually goes to them. So it feels like this was a very good way to kind of ensure that the work was being done, and also the money was being put where the mouth was as well. You know,
exactly.
Like a sort of almost accountability, right? And
for sure.
You know, I pray that it doesn't get repealed. You know, because I know right now we're in a time of uncertainty with all these types of things, but pray that, like, you know, that thing does not get touched because it's super important.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. The energy sector, there's so many opportunity in it, and I just couldn't believe that I didn't know about this whole world and the intersection of within technology that existed. I think I was telling all my friends, like who I graduated with, I was like, explore the energy sector, explore the environmental side of tech. It's impactful and you're going to enjoy it. Like, you know, it's crazy. Like you could relate to this, right? Like, did you also want like that big company tech?
Oh yeah,
after college,
everybody. Okay. I remember when I was like a kid, like I was like, because that's when I knew I wanted to be like in some kind of tech thing. I remember in middle school, all I was thinking about, I was like, wow, I want to work at Google so bad. Like,
Google.
You know, like, wow, like I want to be a Googler, you know, be with guests, you know, with my little hat and this thing and, you know, have a good time. And, not saying like, obviously, like, that's cool. I'm obviously like, that's cool, but I see your point. Like, there's just so much more to this industry that people don't even realize. Like, I remember I was listening to this thing. I listen to NPR in the mornings, like an old woman, but I don't care because it's great. And I grew up listening to it with my dad. So now I've become him and listen to it at my best self in the morning. But like, I was listening to how they're essentially our government, like the U.S. government, just has they don't have like the same pull as to getting like young, hot talent, you know, like fresh off the presses, like fresh out of school, because nobody wants to work for government because they're like, oh, it's old, it's bureaucratic, no money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's another.
But I think there was an initiative put forth in the Obama administration when they kind of realized like some of the government websites were like not up to speed at all. They were terrible.
Oh my God.
They're so terrible and bad. So now they're putting forth initiatives to kind of entice young people to start working for and tech, like engineers to start working for the government. Because first of all, people are getting old. Second of all, things are old. Everything's not good, sucks, bad, slow, whatever. But can't really fix that if we don't get new talent. Everybody's just retiring, you know what I mean? And the circle's getting smaller and smaller. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting because we have so many of these flashy jobs, blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest, y'all. We've seen the market. It's not a lot of those jobs right now.
No,
and so some of the jobs that are open, we kind of need people, like whether it's working for universities, for government, for environment. Like these are all things that are super important, but people just don't know about them or they don't care because it's not flashy. They don't have and honestly, it's a reflection of the industry. Because let's be honest, for example, somebody could literally go on LinkedIn and post, guys, I just finished my Google internship. They will get 400 likes. They don't even have to work there anymore. Yeah. They could just be I've seen so many things where just guys, I'm leaving. 500 likes. And it's because obviously, and no hate, obviously, it's especially if I see somebody that looks like us or somebody who's like, you know, a woman or a minority, it's like, oh, cool. Like, that's awesome because it's like, cool, you were able to like make it up there, you know? So no hate, obviously. Just saying that like, you can see the difference between like somebody, but obviously if somebody posted some, you know, random medium-sized company, it was like, hey guys, just got an internship here, 2 likes. Yeah, because nobody cares. So, and that's just the nature. Like all this industry is like, oh, where do you work? Who do you work for? And what's
Big
your
names.
total comp? I mean, even when you go on Blind, for instance, people say TC or get out. Total comp, you post your total compensation package, like, and even if you post it, let's say it's like 97K versus like, I don't know, like 300K, people are going to be like, oh, bro, you're broke, you're this, you're that. What kind of company? You know what I mean? This whole thing is about numbers, like, oh, who do you work for, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, like, it kind of takes it made me a little disillusioned the further I was getting into my degree, because I was like, hello. I thought this stuff was about building cool stuff and meeting people who also like to build cool stuff. But then it became quickly about like leak code, work for this company, slave away at this other company. You're making like $300,000, but like you're not having, you feel like a robot zombie. That's not cool, you know? And
it's like, is it worth it?
Exactly, right? Like, but it's like for you, you're working on something that like actually matters to you and matters to other people. It's actually impactful. And not to say you can't work at these companies and do impactful things. There are plenty of things you can do, but also it still remains to be said that like there's so much important work, there's so much important work that needs to be done in places, but people just don't know about it. And it needs more press, it needs more exposure, because you just never know. Like you said, you didn't know about this stuff, but alhamdulillah, you went into this and you're like, wow, like, how did I not know about this? And now everybody needs to know about this, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And there's so many things like that out there, you know? So many initiatives, so many organizations, important things that need the manpower and the innovation behind them, but like they're behind because they don't have the, for example, like government, maybe the right funding is not going towards the thing it needs to be going to. So that's why people can't give the competitive salaries that they need to give, you know? But it's important.
Spot on, literally. 100%.
Yeah.
But I hope that changes.
For sure.
And like the drive to make an impact leads people to government jobs, smaller companies. And it's not just becoming about total comp and big names. Because I shifted. Like I would definitely say like the type of impact that's possible in the environmental sector. Like I love where I'm working at, and I probably Allah knows like whether or not I would have found this satisfaction and this drive and even like make an impact as close to this if I was working for a bigger company. Like,
so from the Develop for Good initiative that we were talking about to your fellowship at Rewriting the Code, what is a project that made you like step back and say like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm in tech?
So I worked with like a product manager. It was giving experience to students in these roles. Like I was working with a product manager, another software developer, like 3 software developers. And we worked with a nonprofit that was out in California in revamping their website. So that was like a web dev and also mobile development.
Awesome.
Kind of thing going on. Develop for Good, I would say like was a moment for me where I was like, if I continue, you know, as a software developer, I need to do like, I saw myself just gaining so much with working closely with smaller companies and helping them reach their missions, you know? So I was paired with other software developers and a product manager. Most of us were students, and we were working with a nonprofit that is out in California, and their website was like really behind. I believe they had some sort of technology that was like not going to be in existence for long. It was about to be like completely, I don't know what's the term for it, but they needed to basically rebuild. And we worked with them in doing that. And, you know, the nonprofit, like the work that they did, essentially, it involves giving giving anyone who strives to be an entrepreneur, like that's where they would help. Like you would go over to them and they would help you with scoping out your business. They would point you out to grants and loans that are available. And they were all about financial freedom and financial empowerment for community members within. I don't know I know the name in California, like the name of I think it was San Diego. I know that before I even applied, I had joined like a summer, like for the organization as a whole. They're, what they do is they work with nonprofits who maybe do not have such an advanced tech team and they want things that they need. They have goals and missions of, and areas where they can improve technical wise, but they just don't have the resources. So Develop for Good, I believe, came about to kind of bridge that gap. It's like a win-win, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
As a college student, everybody wants an internship, you know, and the internship route is not easy. And then you have nonprofits and smaller companies that would love interns and would love to have students on board who can help them reach their technical missions. So I remember joining a summer demo of the students who were working that entire summer and just getting a demo. They kind of presented it on Zoom of everything that they did. And I was in awe. I was like, whoa. That was like the first glimpse of me seeing the idea of developing for good, developing for something impactful. Because prior to that, you know what was on my mind? Big companies. That was the goal at the time. But then when I saw that, I was like, wait, like there's a possibility to like do both. And it spoke to me again, because, you know, I spoke about being someone who was always for activism, but just any impact really that can actually, that I can bring home, that will feel like I am serving myself. I'm serving people that look like me. And that spoke to me. So yeah, I would say that was kind of the door that I went into prior to finding myself in the energy world.
I love that. MashaAllah.
Yeah, and it made me again like say, yeah, this is if I were to continue as a software developer, this is where I would see myself. This type of impact. Yeah.
I love that.
That was a ramble, but yeah.
No, you're fine.
I hope you got that.
No, that's amazing. I really liked. Okay. No, I liked how you dived into that. Honestly, truly, I think it's important to really like link back to that moment because you know at the time it's like you don't think of these moments. Like it's always like little moments that add up, right? And you're just thinking of it as like, oh, and at the time you're probably like, oh, that's interesting, that's cool, whoa, and then like kind of like kept it pushing. But now you can look back and reflect and be like, wow, like that was the key turning point, you know? Yeah. And, you know, everybody has that in their story. So I just thought that was really interesting and cool.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
With engaging with, you know, doing this work now and engaging with underserved communities and things like that, what have these collaborations taught you about the intersection of technology and humanity?
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, prior to like this summer, like I didn't find myself in spaces where I'm engaging with, you know, these underserved communities, priority communities, and it's catered to them. And I feel like going into that and also being someone who's from an underserved community themselves, it made me realize, like, in a lot of ways, we were behind, and there's like a catch up that I had to play that was happening like in present time. One example of this would be like over the summer when I was working with Unified Ground, there was a initiative revolving AI and underserved communities, and how community organizations and MWBEs, a lot of them can use AI to help enhance the current, you know, work that they're doing. But many of them do not know how to do that. Many of them are not equipped with the tools to be able to get AI, like be knowledgeable on AI and start using it to just, in a lot of ways, help the work that they're doing. And, being part of these circles where I'm talking and I'm realizing it, and I'm just like, wow. And that prompted me to want to be part of something I then went on to do with Jamil for AI, which put a heavy focus on hearing what community members would benefit from if they had the tools. And kind of, it was a conference that I did. I'm going to find the conference name. I did it.
Don't worry.
It was the Urban Tech Conference, or was it Urban Tech Summit? But the primary goal of that was to build a toolkit that community organizations can adapt to help them with using AI and within their organizations. And that was important to me. That was like, again, the very first moment where I saw myself and my own experience, like trying to tackle that gap, like trying to tackle ways to bridge the gap between current technical advancements that are out there and then my current self as someone from an underserved community.
So you've worked with data, AI, mapping tools, etc. As an engineer, what is one piece of tech or a tool that you use, but you now cannot live without, and why?
Okay. So there's many technologies and tools that I enjoy, but one that I was like most recently like introduced to, I did not know of its existence, is XML. I don't know if have you heard of XML?
Yep.
Yeah. So, like as a data engineer, I use it a lot, especially at the company I'm working on. The reason why I love it so much is because as someone who's working with schemas, it forces it to like validate every single time you're writing XML code. You're constantly validating. And as someone who like would code regularly, and it's like, okay, I got to go through compilation errors and runtime errors, and that debugging process with XML is kind of like as you go, it's validating. And it's like limiting the possibility of having a bunch of mistakes, which can be very, very common. So I think I'm a diehard XML fan now, and I like writing XML.
I like that. That's the first I'm hearing of that. So I think that's really cool. And if you could build an app for the Bronx community today, what would it do and how would it make a difference?
It's actually, I've had this question and several app ideas came to mind, but I also really wanted, right? Like when I had this question in my mind and when I was like brainstorming on, okay, like, will I build an app? If so, what will it be centered on? I really wanted it to align with my faith, because I feel like when I went into college and then through high school, I had to start working pretty young, and that kind of put a pause on me going to Arabic school very consistently since I was young. But I told myself that after college, after inshallah, like Allah blesses me with a full-time job, that I would start, putting a lot more time and prioritizing understanding my deen. And and I've heard this so many times, like it's the saying of, like it's such a bummer that what I studied in college is not really helping me Islamically. Like I've heard that from a lot of people, and the balance is important, and to find the intersection is just so beautiful. And I want to do that. There are like a couple of initiatives. Like I'm being born and raised from the Bronx. Like it's going to take me maybe like a couple minutes to really sit and think, like knowing the issues that exist, a couple minutes to sit and think about, okay, apps that can come and make our lives easier. Because it's firsthand experience, being born and raised here. So that's something that I am totally up for doing. That guides me into, building something that I can call my own, that can be impactful as well. Like, I mean, thank you.
No, yeah, it's super important to find that intersection. Even me, like, inshallah, I'm working on something now that kind of works on that as well. So it's super important. I think, like you said, you want to make something that like contributes to your deen and also like leaves a positive impact on this ummah. Even if you don't become the next, whatever, it's still a great learning experience. It's still a great opportunity to build a product for yourself. I mean, it's not a lose-lose, and you never know. Like, even within building that app, you never know what more ideas could come from that, or maybe you find a different implementation, or maybe you find a better way to do something else. And, it's like sometimes you like great ideas come from like taking what's already there and just improving upon it, right? Well, with that, I enjoyed our conversation, everything. It was amazing, honestly. You're such an amazing person.
Yes, I really, really enjoyed our conversation. You're an amazing, amazing host. I'm
thank you.
So happy. I've been talking to all my like close friends and my sister. I was invited to talk on a podcast. They want, and I'm so happy. This is such a, oh my gosh, what you're doing is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
May Allah put barakah into it. Platforms like this where, again, like that representation is so important.
It is.
And it's a driver.
And that's what I was so happy to hear what you were saying in your story. Cause I was like, yes, this is like literally everything that I'm like, everything that you were saying. I'm like, yes, this is like golden, because I'm so glad you had the opportunity, or like you were here, because, there's not, like I said, there's not a lot of people in the intersection of tech and, environmental initiatives and all these things, which I'm so happy to like be able to speak to you today. And you just had so many amazing things to say, mashallah. I can't wait to, inshallah, have like a follow-up and kind of see like where you're at and stuff a little while from now. Cause I really did enjoy our interview and our conversation. You're amazing.
Yes,
so mashallah.
Thank you.
So
thank you. And if you are ever in New York, like, hit me up. I don't have a ride, but we could take the train together.
Don't worry. Inshallah, I'll take you up on that, actually, because and a couple of my friends were like, we want to travel. We want to go to New York. All this amazing halal food. Like, everything's halal up there. There's so many amazing Muslimahs up there. I'm like, yeah. We gotta go. Inshallah.
Definitely come
for sure. Inshallah.
Yes.
So I actually have one more closing question for you.
Yes.
It is, what is your favorite ayah from the Quran, and how does it inspire or influence your approach to your career, your industry, and your life?
My favorite verse in the Quran is actually in Surah Al-Imran, verse 200. And it goes, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu isbiru wa sabiru wa rabitu wattaqullaha la'allakum tuflihun. I love that verse. I actually wrote it and had it on my cap when I graduated in May. And it basically means, O believers, patiently endure, persevere, stand on guard, and be mindful of Allah so you may be successful. And that wraps up my journey in college and many aspects of my life as well, but mostly college. Like, I felt that on a personal level, because it was like a lot of endurance, a lot of persevering when hard times hit, but that assurance to just continue to trust Allah and have tawakkul, which saved me in so many ways, having tawakkul, and it leads you to be successful in the end. And I just love it. It's a short but powerful and amazing verse. I love it so much. And that's one of my favorite verses. I probably can't, but that resonated with me.
Oh wow.
In this chapter of my life.
MashaAllah. Dang, almost made me a little emotional there. I was like, oh my God, like, that's really beautiful. And
Imran
I
has
can hear
lot of gems.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like the verse where it's like, alhamdulillah for Islam.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Like the verse that's a lot more popular, like with hardship comes ease. So Yannama al-usri yusra, indeed. But I love this verse. Thanks for asking. What an amazing question. You have great questions, Hawa.
Thank you, girl. Thank you, sister. I tried. Truly, 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 may Allah reward you. May Allah put barakah in your endeavors and your affairs.
Oh my gosh. Yes, 100%. I will. This isn't the end of our conversation. I think you got a lot to know about me, but I can't wait for like an in-person.
Oh, inshallah. I would love to meet you in person, well. Inshallah.
Yeah, for sure. Inshallah.
Yes. Well,
and it's spray time here as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, you're right. So quickly, where can we find you?
Yeah. Oh, my LinkedIn is fine.
LinkedIn.
Aminata Cisse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And of course, I'll leave that in the bio. But yes, or the bio, the show notes or whatever. But yes, thank you so much, sister.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Salaam alaikum. It was a wonderful conversation. Salam. Inshallah, I'll keep you posted.
Likewise. Yes, please do. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Muslimahs in Motion. We hope you enjoyed it and found it valuable. If you did, please consider subscribing on your favorite podcast platform and leaving us a review. It really helps others find the show. Don't forget to visit our website at hmsdev.co/MIM for more content, updates, and resources. You can also follow us on Instagram to stay connected. If you would like a direct line to the pod, perhaps leave a comment or share some career advice, feel free to leave us some fan mail and join the conversation. We may share your note in the next episodes. Just check out the description for the link. And please, don't forget our brothers and sisters in Gaza, the Congo, and Sudan. If you would like to donate, the links will be in the description below. Join us week after next for another exciting episode. Until then, take care and salam.